So, as many of you know, I took a social media break, a pause for 2 weeks off from social media, um, just so I can do a retreat. And in the middle of the retreat, in this last week, I had a few opportunities come up, and I'm just taking a break right now of my social media break, just to share these thoughts I just received, I was just thinking out loud, but which are still in spiritual thinking, so it's still within the scope of my social media break. But I wanted to share this because I think these are important principles to share, and for you to hear and to know and to understand. Let me speak about honor. I've spoken about it before, but today something happened to me and I want to share it right now. And it's, with that space that I've had with working, living in America, working for Americans, working for American institutions, then that time span that I've been out, I've been able to see or observe the system with fresher eyes. And I was so touched because they invited us, me, Mama Gladys, she was not able to be there, and all the people who worked on the Mandela Washington Fellowship from the beginning, the pioneers, right? And the ambassador, he honored us, in his speech, and recognized us, gave us a shout out. With those who are coordinating it now, Charlene, shout out to her, who personally insisted I should come, really. And the whole executive. So I just returned from an evening. First, let me say this. I don't even know if I should do this video in English or in French. But I just want to say that Americans, American people, they are people. They are people. I just returned from an evening at the ambassador of the United States of America's house, the ambassador in Cameroon. I was invited as a guest. Many of you know I worked at the embassy a few years ago, and this time they were celebrating 10 years of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, which started in 2014 when I was there at the embassy. So it started in our hands, and it something marked me this evening. Truly, as I returned home, I don't know if you can hear my baby girl. She's walking around here playing with a ball, and my husband is right across from me. But one thing that touched me was the fact that the principle of honor, as I was returning home and thinking in the car, I was like, wow, Americans really understood that principle, and it's so integrated in the American society that sometimes they don't realize it. And even me, I didn't realize that even the principle of honor is a very spiritual principle that we learn in the Bible and even in the spiritual aspects. But I didn't even realize that it had rubbed off on me from the American experiences that I had had. The whole body, essentially, of those who are working on it, the coordinators that are coordinating the Mandela Washington Fellowship now, the YALI program, those who did it in the past, the ambassador, the public affairs officer, they were so gracious, and, they kept, after the speech even, saying, wow, thank you so much, even to me, right? Thank you so much for building the foundation of this program in Cameroon. Thank you for working on this. Thank you for building the foundation. Thank you for, they kept honoring and honoring and honoring. And it's not that I was touched. Of course I was touched, because I don't take it for granted. Not all institutions or all governments are intentional and deliberate about honoring people who worked on different projects. So I was moved, and I had an aha moment in a sense, because I understood that is really part of American culture. When you think about how they honor the founding fathers, they honor those who came before them, they honor those who started, the pioneers or the founders or the founding or the initial class or the, the maiden class. They honor, and the culture of honor, God rewards that. They give credit, they share credit. Because for me, I was like, okay, it's great. I loved working on this, on the Mandela Washington Fellowship for 4 years. Yeah, 4 years before leaving the embassy. But I was also thinking, I was like, wow, this is an initiative that was proposed from Washington, D.C., right? And here in Cameroon, we were implementing it, or in Africa, we're implementing it and putting in our hearts to make it work. But the credit really is not really to us. The credit is not necessarily just to us, but what Americans do is that they share the credit. You see what I mean? They share the credit, and they make you own part of the credit. They make you own part of the success. They honor you so that you feel part, and you are part of it because you worked on it. But honestly, I was marked by that. I was really touched. I felt honored, and I was thankful for that. I was really thankful for that. That you can be in an institution, leave your mark, leave an impact on lives, and years afterwards they recognize that and they honor you through that. It's a great privilege and a great honor, and I think it's a lesson to be learned. For me, it affirmed again that value in me as I watched it, as I observed it, as I was a recipient of it. It affirmed that value in me, in continuing in being more intentional, even in honoring others, in sharing credit, in uplifting others, in doing your work thoroughly, totally, fully, with all your heart, because in 5 years, 10 years, a decade after, your contribution could still be seen and honored and welcomed. So let's learn to honor each other and share each other's credit, as these Americans showed by example. So yeah, I wanted to share that quickly. And as any spiritual principle, there are many spiritual principles where you don't even need to be spiritual to get the reward of that principle, right? Principles of generosity, of seed sowing so you can harvest. Principle of honor. There's a reward to honor. God honors those who honor others, right? The principle of, what other principle? Of love, the principle of reciprocity, right? You give joy, you'll receive joy. You give love, you receive love. Many principles, and I think Americans really learned and know how to capitalize on this principle of honor. That is my piece of sharing for today. I insist on this because I think in our society sometimes we don't know how to honor or how to share credit. Sometimes in some of our culture, sometimes, especially the new generation, sometimes people feel like valuing others will devalue them, or sharing credit will remove credit from them. Whereas it elevates them even more. When you share credit with others, when you honor others, it elevates you even more. It builds you up even more. So let's learn and apply that principle in life. All right, that is it. Wow, lots of love. So please don't look for me too much. I'm going back offline. I still have about 5 days off. It's very important It's been refreshing. It's been great. I've been just unplugged. It's a good feeling. I recommend it to everyone to just take some time and, you know, I've given myself 1 hour to 2 maximum per day online to handle some emergencies, some key things, whether it's in my company or projects I'm working on. Just 2 hours, or to coordinate different initiatives I'm on. So it's very important to unplug from time to time, get back to hearing from the Lord and reconnecting with Him. So I'll come back next week, but I wanted to share this so that you can have some food for thoughts as I'm off.
Washington Fellowship, qu'on a choisi de parmi 2200 personnes qui s'y sont postulées. Less than 1%. And you were selected because you are already doing amazing work in your communities and in your professions. Our expectations for you are going to be, as I told each of you as we spoke, even greater when you return.
This morning, as I was reading through, meditating, and thinking out loud about the attributes of God and even what the Word says about honor and everything, every morning, almost every morning, after dropping the kids at school, sending the kids to school, not dropping them at school, I'm here outdoors with my baby girl, and in nature, in the beauty of nature, and across from this mountain. I'm not at the right angle now. I speak with the Lord. I recognize His presence, and there's an additional thing that came to my spirit. I'll say the Spirit spoke to my spirit about honor this morning. You see, in the Word of God, there's several places in some of my 2 favorite chapters in the Bible, Revelation chapter 4 and chapter 5, which tells, here, you see, Revelation chapter 4, right here, verse 11, you're worthy, O Lord, to receive glory and honor and power, for you created all things, and by your will they exist and were created. And then afterwards, they do the same, a new song. They sing that song, a new song, to the Lamb, right? To the Lamb. You see here, Revelation chapter 5, verses 9 and 10. You're worthy to take the scroll and to open the seal, for you were slain. And then afterwards, it says here, you're worthy to receive blessing and honor and glory and power be to Him.